Final topic of the night. Matt has popped his cherry on the Horizon Zero Dawn PlayStation 4 front. We have talked. I have talked so long about.
You gave this praise.
How great this game was.
Cherry popping happened 3 weeks ago when I bought it. Okay. At this point, I'm like an old girlfriend.
Let me rephrase. Matt just finished Horizon Zero Dawn.
There you go.
I've talked numerous times about this. I've praised the game up and down, but everybody has their own opinions.
There's been episodes that didn't happen.
That's right. That's true. There's stuff that'll never come to the light of day. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Matt, you've got the floor. All your own opinion. What'd you think of Horizon Zero Dawn?
I loved playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. A little monotonous at times. I'm okay with monotony. I crave it in certain situations. Beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful game. I mean, I've never played a game that I've
that level of graphic fidelity.
Exactly, that level of graphic fidelity. I never in no point in there, other than the closing credits, did I question the way that it looked.
Right.
The closing credits were going on, and I'm like, this looks like something you'd see as a closing in a movie. Kind of like CGI, but not quite finished, but they don't care because they're just putting people's names over it. So, I mean, it was like a movie. Mm-hmm. My wife literally sat here on the couch with me for every hour I played that game.
Did she like it as much as you did?
Game. She loved the game.
Mm-hmm.
I could not play that game. If I played that game, I would get yelled at.
That's
because
awesome.
She wanted to be here to watch me play the game. And I got to the point where last week I was getting close to the end, and I'm like turning the game off because my wife wasn't down here. Because I didn't want to do anything that she didn't see. Storyline, great.
How creative was that story?
It was good.
That would have been like, in my view, if that would have been, I know you can't make that a movie because it's such a long story.
Yeah.
That would have been like Best Picture. That's because, I mean, they could have easily rested on their laurels with how gorgeous that game looks, and just a tribal society where you're killing robot animals, and the gameplay was so fucking good, they could have coasted on that.
Yeah.
But they didn't, and not only did they come up with something that's new, not a sequel, but it's so fucking creative, and it's so deep. Holy shit. The issues that they tackle. Diversity. All the different cultures, which was there for a reason. Sexual orientation. They had everything from like the eventual, what is technology eventually going to do for us today, how quickly we're racing. It was all relative to what's going on today. I just can't believe. Remember when you first get to that point story-wise? Remember we talked about there's kind of two storylines, what's going on right now and then what happened? When you first find out what happened, do you remember that? I mean, for me, that's a turning point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with me, it wasn't unexpected. I mean, I feel like the game leaves a lot of questions unanswered in a way. They try to wrap it all up in this kind of thing.
Well, some of the stuff was left open-ended on purpose. I mean, you could see they set it up for, this is a franchise that they're launching.
Yeah. So, I mean, no, I think there's definitely two different aspects because, there's what's happening now and then there's you're finding out why it's happening. So it's not really now in the future, it's now in the past.
Right, exactly.
Which is definitely a different skew on things, right? But some of the characters, I don't know why, I really like the character of Neil.
Which one's Neil?
Neil's the one that when you go to the bandit camps, he wants to be there all the time.
Oh, right.
He wants to be part of it, and it's like, go fuck yourself.
He's like the mercenary that just loves killing.
Yeah. I love that character. But I'm the other guy, not so much. And I mean, even at the end, I mean, I kind of warmed up to him, but he still wasn't as great a character to me as Neil. What's his name? Aaron.
Oh yeah.
It's like, you just, I don't know. To me, it's just kind of like, this is fucking doofus, right? And then you're just kind of.
But then you go on more journeys with him, and it gets deeper, and you like him more. You don't love him,
I tolerated him.
I
tolerated him. I feel like that was it. It's like, this guy who he is, who he is.
I thought he had a cool arc, the lazy drunk or whatever that, went through an ordeal and now has become the responsible guard and used to think, remember, didn't even have like a speech how like I always thought you were just this pretty girl in this little tribal society that looked up to me, and then it turns out, no, I can't believe I even got some of your time. That was really cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and then the Sun King thing. No, I mean, the story writing, some of it was kind of weak. Some of the voiceover stuff I thought was kind of weak, based on like the whole polish of the game. Like this game is beautiful, and then I go and I have to talk to this person, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
like what is the name? Thad?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, every interaction with every person from every possible side conversation, side quest is never going to be to the level of...
Yeah. I mean, I love how they tried to bring it in, like, with Petra and all those, like, at the end. It's like, these are the people that are guarding the ridge, and then these people that are up there on the spire, and I'm like, I'm just kind of like, nah. I actually did really like the villain. The guy that ended up being the villain at the end, I thought that was acted really well.
You mean like Helis, or which one do you mean?
Yeah, Helis. Whoever puts.
Yeah, Helis.
Me
in the cage.
Yeah, whoever put Aloy in the cage.
He thought he was so righteous and divine, chosen by the sun, and remember you listened to the recordings about how he loved his family. They were taken away, and he went into despair.
Well, no,
but
that was a different thing. That was
Helis. That was Helis that was about. You're supposed to learn about his backstory.
Because I thought there was Helis, but then you captured the one guy that had been the hand of the king, the former Sun King.
The priest guy, right?
Duval, no.
Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. Duval, right?
You Duval, and then you go and you find Duval's camp where he has.
You're right.
Has Aaron's sister, and then you get that recording where it's him and his kids, and his wife, and then he just gets locked up because maybe he just got locked up.
I forgot about
that. Kill him. But Helis is just kind of like the fanatic, right? He's just like that guy that's like believing without reason.
He's the one that Silence introduced to Hades, right? He introduced Helis and then one of the priests.
He's the one that took over the eclipse,
right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Started the eclipse basically, with Silence, right?
Yeah. So, but that actor, whoever did the voiceovers on that, even like the graphical interactions, the animations, I thought were really good with him.
Mm-hmm. Primary character, sure.
Yeah, and even Silas I thought was well acted, but there was just some other ones that were just kind of like.
Silence was awesome. Every time I heard.
It's what you would expect. What you would expect from like a secondary character or something.
Every time I heard Silence talk, even whether you saw the hologram or not, all I could think about is that TV show Fringe that he was on. Did you ever watch Fringe?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I loved when as soon as I heard his voice, I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's all I could see too. Was like the actor that actually has that voice doing that voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, a few of the things were a little obscure, like how do you get here, how do you do that, which I don't mind. Honestly, I like to solve problems.
Yeah. Without struggle, the game's not fun, and it's just boring.
But yeah, I mean, to some extent, but I mean. It got to the point with me because I played it so much, and I'm a grinder when it comes to games, that I got to level 50 2 days ago, and I'm playing this game, and like I think it was yesterday or today, I finally got every ability unlocked. And then they're like assigning me like skill points after that.
Yeah.
I'm like, the fuck is that? I can't use it. And they're still assigning me experience points because it's like, the fuck is that for? I'm not using it.
Yeah.
I think as a casual gamer, you would enjoy this as much as I would. I'm a grinder. I grind things. Like the reason I love Borderlands is because I can go through and I can grind the game.
Yeah.
Every exclamation point I see in Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm doing that before I finish the game.
Yep. I did the same thing.
So I mean, it's one of those things where I looked before I finished the game and I was 87% complete. I'd like to see what I am now in comparison to it because. I have to be in the 90s at this point.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm not 100%, I'm almost disappointed because I got every flower. I got get every vessel, and they got every one of them statuettes.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's like
you're really close to that. You're almost platinum in the game. You're gonna have a platinum trophy here really quick.
I mean,
which is
at this point, the only thing I don't have are all the campfires.
Mm-hmm.
But I've killed everything. I mean, it's just like there might be a few side quests that I need to do yet, but
yeah,
I just like it's one of those things where I won't find out until I actually go to the locations to find out that they're there.
I thought there was,
but I loved it.
Oh God, there were so many elements I thought about this game that just come together that I can't imagine anything surpassing. I think that this game and Breath of the Wild, for completely different reasons, equally deserve to be Game of the Year, and I can't imagine anything surpassing them just because this one. And tell me what your thoughts are, but everything comes together in a way that is so unique, new, and fresh in a world where it's all sequels and not new, fresh ideas that you have, you're right, graphical fidelity that you can't believe what you're watching. And I know there's a lot of people that are going to say, and I've heard this comment, well, PC gaming's been way ahead for years, and I hear that, and I got you, but for the majority of us that don't spend...
Yeah, I've never played a PC game like this, though.
And for the majority of us that don't spend a few $1,000s on a PC, that have state-of-the-art stuff that's rendering the stuff with ridiculous stuff, seeing this...
But it doesn't matter. I've played PC games on high fidelity before. I've never seen... individual blades of grass. I've never seen
the draw distances are so deep. Looking out at the mountains.
I mean, there's probably PC games that can do it now, but they can do it now because they're playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, this game literally is like cutting edge as far as I'm concerned.
Volumetric lighting that's coming through the trees at night with the moon looks so fucking gorgeous every time.
I hate playing this game in full light in my house. I like playing it at night. Because I want my TV to be able to show me those things that I can't see. Like, I wish I had a 4K television for this game just so I could see it.
We actually have, we were playing on the 4K one, and so it'll upscale the game, and even upscaled looks just so fucking gorgeous. Gameplay's fun.
The shadow. Like I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I can't get off this, but I mean, there's points where it's like I'm walking through the snow, and there's fucking footprints from me walking through the snow. I'm walking to something, and there's a shadow in front of me that is hiding the things in front of me. I mean, it's as far as for like the touch and the care they put in this game. You can tell it's there. It's not just they didn't just take an Unreal Engine, they have some ragdoll physics and throw it into this game. That game is there and it exists in its own kind of thing.
Yeah, and it really takes away from the argument that when people used to say when you get like a Fallout 4, well, you can't have a game that big with that much stuff to do and open world where you can go anywhere and have the level of polish without having the glitches or walking through stuff or bad collision detection. Well, this game really pulls that argument off the table because now they set the bar high for everybody that they cannot settle.
I don't know what architecture they used, but it's on point.
Guerrilla Games really did a shift from making Killzone to this game, and man, did they... This reminds me of Naughty Dog going from making Jak and Daxter to making Uncharted. And you're like, what? And now all of a sudden they're a AAA, top tier, everyone's comparing themselves. And you know what else is really good that I don't think I've talked about before? The musical score is really moving.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Like, you want to talk about emotional heights?
Yeah.
I mean, that music comes in, and I'm like, there's times I hear things in the score, and all of a sudden I'm like crouching down because I think something is humming. And it's just it might just be part of the background ambient sound.
Yeah.
But I'm like, something saw me.
That too, but I mean, even for the dramatic points, when you first find out that Elizabeth Sobek realized that every single living organic cell is going to be gone. This world is going to be barren, and she sacrifices her entire world and life to create Gaia with all these parts, and you realize we're all doomed, we're all dead, and you hear that music in the background. I was like tearing up, and you just learn to love Elizabeth's constant drive and push for yes we can, fight through. This is about hope, and the way she sacrifices herself at the end for everybody without any discussion while they're bickering, and you hear that music kick in. You start to well up like this was really fucking well done. This was a masterpiece in my opinion, where I can't imagine anything measuring up to it.
It's a phenomenal game. It is. And I mean, honest to God, I mean, I love the fact that it ends and there's questions, right? I mean, obviously,
we only saw a few of the cradles in this area. What about the rest of the world?
Exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Is like, here's Aloy she was hatched as Elizabeth Sobek to fix the problem that Gaia thought was there.
How cool is that, too, when you watch that Gaia recording?
Then you also see the fact that there was other people. Like, the reason that there's people out there and not just Elizabeth is that there's people that were hatched from Gaia that she released out into the wild.
Because they ran out of food, because they couldn't go through the Apollo program, because Ted fucking went nuts and destroyed it. So they just stayed there with the same education of a child, and they constantly had their mother hologram.
They're like teenagers, and and then they go out, and that's how.
That's where you got all mother from.
Yeah, and then obviously because it exists in such a vast world, but it's such a small world around Utah and
Colorado,
like in the mountains there. This makes you wonder, like, where else in the world is this happening? Because Gaia can't just be here.
Right.
She has to be everywhere.
And it really would be, because if they were going to actually fix the atmosphere and the waters and all that kind of stuff so that life could sustain, and you could have palm trees here that Gaia seeded out, and you had the evergreen mountains over there, and that's why you only saw turkeys, boars, foxes. You didn't see everything. You just saw what they had to put out there.
Yeah,
that would only work
right here. Yeah,
right, and that would only work if the entire planet had an atmosphere again, which means this has been done all over the fucking world. And the whole reason that Elizabeth Aloy was even born was because, and we don't even know. What did remind me? Gaia said when you finally got to see Gaia's recording, an unknown signal got in, and it somehow created her subordinate functions to become self-aware, so they were individual AI entities, escaped, and Hades then, now that he wasn't obstructed by his protocols of not going into destruction mode, which his whole purpose was so that if Gaia couldn't get the atmosphere right, they could start from square one and try again.
Yeah, that was the idea behind it.
Right, so he could start working again. We don't know who sent that signal. We don't know how they got into the system, but she figured the only way to stop him was to blow up Gaia Prime so that it would destroy. And then I will send a signal to that cradle over there, which is where Mother's crown was, and I will use the DNA we have from Elizabeth Sobek so that you'll have the DNA imprint to get in here, and then you can reboot Gaia Prime. She sends out that signal, but in the span of 3 seconds? Because it's AI moving at lightning speed, Hades already figured out what Gaia was trying to do it, severed the connections, and also corrupted some of the data, so then the alpha registry wasn't accurate, so then she could never get in there in the first. And all this happened within the span of a few seconds, and this happened, 19 years ago. That's why everything happened in the game. That's so cool to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm just...
No, it's a great game.
It is.
I would say anybody that owns a PS4 should own this game.
It shows off the PS4, yeah. I'm just curious. I loved at the very end when you find out Silence has Hades again, and they go back to that Titan. Because at some point in the Horizon game, we're going to see...
Was that the same Titan, or was that a different one?
That was a Titan. Well, remember, the Titans were the ones with those huge legs that were a mile long, that was 6 of them in the mountains?
It looked like he was somewhere else.
Yeah, it was a different one. You're right. We don't know which one it was, because he looked like he was in, the kind of desert area, and we haven't seen one out there. But again, they're all over the world.
Yeah.
Right? Exponential. We have no fucking idea. Yeah. They could make new stuff we haven't heard of yet. But I'm assuming at some point in this Horizon franchise, whether the next game or
other animals.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a whole bunch of new animals. But do you think we're ever going to get to see a Titan activated? Because those things are
they're huge.
How would you fight that?
I have no idea. I had enough problems with the Deathbringer.
Yeah, remember that first time you're in one of the factories and they let a Deathbringer out of a Titan? Wasn't there even...
It falls down.
Yeah. Wasn't there even a little part of you that was scared, oh my god, are they going to bring the Titan online? I was a little bit scared.
Yeah, but when they first showed it, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Yeah. Yeah, and then that little thing falls down, and then it's there, and then next thing you know, 2 times in a row, I get shot off of the fucking... catwalk or whatever that I'm on.
It's so fascinating to think about the duration of everything that's happened, because life has been barren on the world for 100 years or 60 years, however long it took.
More than that. I think more than that.
And
that's the question that started hashing in my mind. It's like, how long has everything been dying and dead? Because you got to realize that and spoiler alert, in case you haven't played the game, you really should before you ever watch this, but at the end, when she finds Elizabeth sitting on the couch at her family ranch, right, and she looks at it, and her face is there, it's entirely possible her face could have looked like that, because if she's in a vacuum-type suit, her face could very well look like it. She's been dead. She could have been dead 1,000 years, and her face is going to look like that, because she has been preserved in that vacuum-type environment. So that's the thing, is like, how long has it been? You have buildings that have crumbled. I think that's more than 100 years. I mean,
well, I was going to say, we could actually probably figure it out, because at one point, the first time you get access to one of the bunkers with the DNA scan that actually lets you in, doesn't it say, come on in, Elizabeth Sobuck? It's been, what, 100,000 days you're overdue for your meeting or whatever? So we could do the math and probably find out the exact amount of time.
Something like that. Yeah.
But it has been a long time. Did you see the cool little nod that Elizabeth, where she died, was in the same triangle of those purple flowers, just like all. So doesn't that mean that all the metal flowers were like Gaia's tribute to her or something like that?
I'm wondering, like the globe that she picks up, the globe like locket that she picks up at the end. I'm wondering if that's going to lead into the second.
Well, apparently, I think, and for those of you watching, let us know in the comments below, but I think that if you look up the information on all the flowers you connect, they all have coordinates, and when you put them all together, they solve some kind of puzzle. And I'm not sure what that is. Maybe that's where her ranch is. Maybe that's but there's some kind of thing where the tiny little data, if you look through, you can piece it together or something.
Well, I have all of them. I mean, at this point, I couldn't leave anything unfinished that I had in me, so...
How cool is it?
All the vessels and all that stuff. So.
When Elizabeth is first explaining to you what Gaia was, and you watch that she's actually the one that developed the robot. So a lot of these robots you've been fighting, they're not the bad guys, or at least most of them weren't. They were the good guys.
They're the ones that are helping. Yeah.
There's a reason they're there. The snap moths are cleaning the water. The glint hawks are cleaning the air and stuff like that. The grazers are milling the ground and nurturing the nutrients and stuff like that.
Fertile,
the only bad ones like Sawtooth and Thunderjaws and stuff like that were actually created by Hades when he took over. Right when you were born, when he started, what was it, a few years after, when he was able to finally get in and start infecting the cauldrons and started making them, making new ones like Thunderjaws. I mean, Guy never made a fucking Thunderjaw. That was not her. I'm really pumped to see where they go with the sequel.
Yeah.
And the DLC ought to be pretty cool, too.
The DLC I'm excited for. I hope it's not ridiculously priced. I hope it's like that $20 price point where it's like here.
Yeah, I think it's just like $20.
More hours.
Yeah, I was going to say, how much time did you get out of this game?
Oh, Christ. I wish I could check. I mean, 2-3 weeks.
So well worth the $60 investment.
Not solid, but, I mean, I'm probably at least 100 hours of gameplay for me.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I wasn't dying a lot. Unless I did something stupid and killed myself, I wasn't dying from animal attacks or anything like that. So it wasn't the point where it was, like, super difficult and impossible to do certain things. But I still got all of that content and all those things. I mean, it's definitely a game worth playing.
Did Margaret like all the reveals too? When you find out what was really going on,
oh yeah.
I remember when you watch that scene when Ted has basically just fucking lost it underground isolation and he kills everyone from Alpha Prime and wiped Apollo. You're like, dude, you were already an asshole that you basically apocalyptically killed the Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now you screwed over people so that now they're going to revert to tribal society instead of advancing further, and they're going to go through the same death and mistakes that they would. You fucking idiot.
Well, was he, though?
What did he do that was positive? How did that change anything? People are going to make mistakes, die, or whatever, but now they all have these different tribal religions, and they were fighting, and the Mad Sun King, and...
He kept them from getting there as fast.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my point is, if you had a society that was basically almost to Star Trek level, where their intellect is higher, that they can actually make decisions more with their mind than their tribal guts, and you say, nah, let them start from scratch, that won't happen again, and then you have the Mad Sun King, and you have tribal raids, and you have, the sun is my god, All Mother is, and...
You know what? He could have sped that process up, and then it could have just been the apocalypse over and over again, though. That's the thing, is you got to kind of realize. I mean, they even hinted in it. It's like, in those recordings, as you're going through Gaia Prime, And that guy's like, it's not a mothership because we don't have the technology and we couldn't get anywhere far enough, fast enough to make a difference for interstellar travel. So they pretty much wiped off the fact that there's no alien intelligence out there. There's nothing we can discover in that regard.
Right.
But what he did do is he slowed down intelligence in hopes that maybe they wouldn't make the same mistakes. So, as opposed to hatching a bunch of people out of the hatch or out of All Mother that have all this technological things, and they're like, here, go fuck things up, right? I mean, it's like, or here, you know,
I don't know.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough to know.
I mean, I see
that thing. I don't know, but it's, you know.
I would rather have educated children than ones that are living in a tribal society that pray to the mystic monkey paw.
They may do.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? That's a good philosophical argument.
Aloy wasn't the first of her kind. I mean, she was born into a tribal community that was, I have a feeling, was there for at least 100 years because they had a history.
Well, they even said it was, what, the 14th king of the Sundom or whatever?
The 13th king, yeah. I mean, even if they only lived 30 years old then. I mean,
right.
That's, so, yeah.
Well, I'm glad that it lived up to the hype for you, too. I just thought that game was fucking amazing, and I can't stop thinking about how it didn't hit on just one thing. It hit so many buttons and hit them really fucking strong, and I just love how creative and original and it's relative to what's going on in society today is. I just can't. It's really rare when you have something that everything hits their stride in that level, too.
Agreed.
I can't wait for more, too. Well, cool. Well, for those of you watching, let us know what you think of Horizon Zero Dawn. Obviously, this is very timely because that game just came out a number of months ago.
Yeah.
But we don't do anything timely here. We do it on our schedule when we feel like we actually get around to it. And hopefully there's other people out there on the internet that do the exact same thing, too. So if you've just played Horizon Zero Dawn and you want to talk about it, that's what we're here for. So we just did a service to everybody, too. But let us know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget, this has been episode number 30 of Fractured Focus, the show where we obsess about everything from geek culture to nerd news, along with random topics for discussion. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and don't forget, you can always check us out at youtube.com/fracturedfocus as we try to entertain you semi-consistently with our semi-witty banter and our incessant rambling. With that being said, until next time.